Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and the Pokemon TCG has a lot of really good cards, and a lot of cards that do a lot of different things. But there's one card in the Pokemon TCG that I think is pretty overrated. The reason I'm making this video was at first I wanted to make like a top 5 or 10 most overrated cards, and you could tell me if you still want to see that. I don't think there's great candidates, in my opinion, though. I do think I will make an underrated cards video. That's a lot more fun. And again, tell me down below in the comment section if you want to see that. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe. But there's one card that really ended up standing out to me, and if you know what that card is, and it might be in the thumbnail, I might be doing a thumbnail test, one where it like shows it, one where it doesn't. But anyways, that card, if you don't know, it's Munkidori. I think Munkidori is not a bad card, but definitely not as good as other people think. And compared to where some people think it is, I think it is pretty bad. A while ago, I made a video where I ranked the top 10 cards in the game. These were including trainers, not including basic energy, but included Pokemon and trainers there, and I guess special energy as well. And people were surprised and kind of annoyed that Munkidori wasn't on the list. And to me, this wasn't even something that was like really in consideration. I think people now wouldn't really say that. I mean, pretty much the list is all trainers and very strong support Pokemon, as in Pokemon that are like drawing you a bunch of cards, like Pheasantipity. The only Pokemon on the list was Pheasantipity. Um, and it was mostly trainers though there. Munkidori is still a decent card for some decks. I'll talk about some different decks it's in. Notably, it's good in Gardevoir and Marnies. I'll just look at lists here real quickly as examples. Gardevoir EX, or I guess I should say what Munkidori does. It has an attack. The attack's like okay, I guess, but um, it's certainly not what it's played for. I guess I think the attack's better than most people do. But anyways, the ability says once during your turn you can move up to 3 damage cards from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon if it has any darkness energy attached to it. This is pretty good. It's actually part of, if you didn't know from the set, Twilight Masquerade, part of the Loyal 3, where you also have Pheasantipity and Okidogi, which also get powered up with darkness energy attached to them. Munkidori is definitely the best of the three. Because it's a support Pokemon. The other two are also attackers, and they're okay, I guess. But ultimately, Munkidori is a cool support Pokemon, and if you want a reason to see why it is strong, you can compare it to a Pokemon in the newest expansion, which is the new Shuckle. Shuckle here has the ability Fermented Juice, which says once during your turn, if this Pokemon has any grass energy attached, you may use this ability to heal 30 from one of your Pokemon. Munkidori is also healing 30. It does have more HP as well, but Munkidori is here as a Pokemon that is also doing damage, and doing damage is better than healing. So Munkidori is a lot better than Shuckle. Shuckle has some use cases to be played, like reason to be played, because it actually does counter Munkidori in some sense, because Munkidori, if both players have it, they can just send damage counters back and forth. Shuckle actually allows you to remove them from your board and your opponent's board, so your opponent can't move them around there. Ultimately, though, Shuckle, is definitely a worse card than Munkidori. So Munkidori does have strengths, being able to heal and do damage. It only does damage if you are also healing, so you do need damage counters on your own board. Additionally, it requires a Darkness Energy attached to it, and so your deck needs to be able to get that Darkness Energy on it. It needs a reason to be playing Darkness. If it's not already playing Darkness, it needs to be able to either fit it in. It needs to be able to fit it in pretty easily and get really good value off of Munkidori. So the first deck here is Gardevoir, which I said. Gardevoir EX naturally gets a lot of damage counters on it through the use of Gardevoir EX. And then it definitely appreciates extra damage, and also the ability gets energy on your board of Psychic Energy here. So you have room to use your energy attachment for the turn to attach to Munkidori, so you need to go out of your way to include Darkness energies and also find them, so it's not completely free to put Munkidori in, and also there is, I guess, some bench space stuff. I wouldn't say it's a huge issue. To me, the reasons that I am not a fan of Munkidori, it's not the bench space thing. It's the fact that you need the energy on it, and also the fact that you need damage cards on your board and you need to get like value out of it. But the bench space thing can be an issue, I guess. But ultimately, yeah, you get very good value out of Munkidori. It's not super committal. It's a little bit committal, but it's not too bad here. And yeah, Gardevoir EX really appreciates the extra damage, and it's good in Gardevoir. I don't think it's amazing in Gardevoir. I mean, the most important card in Gardevoir EX is Gardevoir EX. So, Munkidori, is it the second best card? I've definitely heard people say it is. I mean, I've heard people say it is the most important. I assume they're just kind of forgetting slash ignoring Gardevoir EX there. But I definitely could see that. It adds some extra damage, but it's not adding that much extra damage, right? It's adding each Munkidori is adding 30 each turn at max, and you're not always wanting to heal. Healing isn't always like super useful. Generally, it's a decent like healing off your Gardevoir EX is gonna be good. But it's not some crazy healing Pokemon, and it does allow you to go after bench Pokemon, but that's not always super powerful here. You're not really a spread deck. You have Flutter Mane, you have Screamtail to hit the bench. And you have Munkidori, but you're doing most that bench damage specifically to hit them with like Team Evolution through the use of Munkidori, but it can work. So I'm certainly not saying Munkidori is bad in Gardevoir EX. I think it's good in Gardevoir EX. It might be overrated in Gardevoir EX. I don't know, but it's certainly a card you want to include in the deck. It is very good here. Then the other deck that is very good in is Barney's Grimmsnarl with Frostlass. There are some other ones where it like fits decently well into as well, but Barney's Grimmsnarl EX here is Darkness type. That's the reason why, honestly, why it's good. It's played. I think Barney's is also overrated. I think it's pretty mediocre. Comparing it to Charizard EX, which is actually also Darkness, but doesn't use Darkness energies. Barney's Grimmsnarl EX can do some bench damage and also allows you to use Darkness energy in your deck very easily because like you have to, and then you can attach that to Munkidori. The Darkness energies are attached to Munkidori manually by hand, and then Mars Grimmsnarl EX powers itself up. So here again, Munkidori is powered up very easily just by your attachment for a turn, and you're not taking away from something else if you're attaching to Munkidori really, because Barney should be powering itself up very easily here. On top of that, you'll have damage counters on your own board through the use of Frostlass, which damages your Munkidoris and your Marnies. Grimmsnarl EX, not the previous evolutions, and maybe some other stuff there. So you get value from the healing, though you're not like super tanky even with the healing in Munkidori, but it is good there. And then you're also getting more damage, which is the big thing. And you're doing a bunch of spread damage to maybe pair with TM Evolution, or just take bench knockouts. It's really, really good here. Again, it's important. I'd say the Frostlass, Marnies, and Munkidori maybe are equally as important. I don't know. I guess Marnies is the most important card in the deck. It's the main attacker, but it's not super good. And then Frostlass and Munkidori are like pretty nice to add damage on, but they're not obviously the whole way that you're getting damage on your opponent's board. But again, they are pretty nice here. So I'm not going to say Munkidori is it's bad. It is good, but now you kind of see what it needs. You need damage cards on your own board, which both these decks have. You need a reason to be able to get the energy on Munkidori as well. And also you need the damage counters as well, right? You don't technically need all these things for Munkidori to have some value, but in order for it to have a bunch of value, you do need all these things. And even in these decks, you are sacrificing something. You can't get a full board of Munkidoris with a bunch of energy attached in one turn in either of these decks because you are manually attaching there, but still, it is a good card. But now let's take a look at some other decks playing Munkidori. I'm just going to look here in Japan's tournaments. This is to look at decks that are including the Mega Evolution cards. They are also potentially including, or at least in the format of newer cards as well. I do want to mention that it's not a huge difference. I could go forwards or backwards in time. It's just a little hard to find exactly standard. I'd have to dig through Play Limitless here, but regardless, this one plays like Dawn, but it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, though, Munkidori and Dragapult is very common. Dragon EX is a deck that wants to place damage counters on your opponent's bench using a variety of different things, and Munkidori helps with that. So you have a reason to play it. It's not necessarily getting damage counters on its own board, because you're not putting them on yourself certainly, but you can get them on through your opponent attacking you. Also, I will say Dragapult EX places damage counters on your opponent's board on the bench, and Munkidori can be used to counter Dragapult EX, and then you might want a Munkidori if you are Dragapult, and I do understand that Munkidori as a counter spread decks is like alright. It's alright. It's certainly not amazing. I'd actually say the item card Picnic Basket, which heals 30 from everything, is a better counter to Munkidori because it doesn't take your attachment for the turn, and it's not even that good. Picnic Basket isn't a super good card, but ultimately Munkidori as a counter Two of these spread decks is okay, but it's not. It's like kind of meh, right? You see stuff like the new Psyduck and Shaman and things like that, which are these counter cards to spread. And yeah, I mean Monkey Door is kind of in that. It also requires an energy attachment. Isn't Buddy Buddy Pop unsearchable? I haven't mentioned that yet. Lots of cards aren't. I mean Shaman also isn't, but Monkey Dory is, it's okay within that role, I guess, but it's not spectacular there. But ultimately, Dragapult has high HP, so it can get damage cards on your opponent's board, and it gets payoff from those. And it plays Luminous here. Luminous is, I'm pretty sure, added um because of Monkey Dory. I'm pretty sure before the deck was playing Monkey Dory, it wasn't really playing Luminous. I'm not entirely familiar with all the different iterations of Dragapult though, but ultimately you want to attach to your Dragapult, right? Like Dragapult EX is the most important deck card in the Dragapult EX deck. There's a lot of important pieces. The Duststorm line, Dracloak. So Munkidori is taking a back seat here, and it adds a little value, I guess. It's not too committal to put into the deck. You can, buy turns with Badoo to get an attachment onto Munkidori, so it's not like you can't get any value out of it, but it's hard to get consistent value out of it. And the value you'll get out of it is going to be okay. It's not amazing. It's probably not going to be getting you extra knockouts. I mean, maybe it gets you extra knockouts, right? And in those situations, it's really good. But ultimately, this gets to my main point. Munkidori in these types of decks is good when you have extra turns. This is a turn where you're getting hit into and knocked out, meaning you have an extra attachment and you have damage on your board. And yes, Munkidori can be good in these situations, but if you're not being knocked out, then that's already a good situation for you anyways. And so do you really need Munkidori in that situation? Maybe. I mean, it definitely helps, but you're already in a good position, so it's more of a win more card, and you are sacrificing things. You're playing Luminous Energy. It can lead to you missing your energy attachments if you have like two Luminous. That's obviously that's bad. It doesn't work. On top of that, you are vulnerable to Enhanced Hammer. I've seen that played a little bit, and I think it's a decent card to counter Dragapult here with it playing so many special energies, more special energies than basics here. Ultimately, Munkidori has some validity in Dragapult. It's a one of here. It's not taking up too much like deck space, though it is taking up Luminous, but it's okay. I don't hate Munkidori and Dragapult. I think there are times when people are playing a bunch and it didn't really work there because you can't really get the energies on. As I said, you have no energy acceleration outside of, I guess, Neo Upper. But ultimately, I mean, it's okay within the deck, I guess, but it's not particularly good, but let's move on to a different deck here. So now we'll look at it in Charizard. Honestly, those three decks are the main ones I wanted to talk about. Oh, there's one more actually. Oh yeah, we see some new cards in this deck. Oh, what? We see Mega Lopunny. Okay. There's a bunch of new cards. Ignore those though. This is what Charizard. I guess I could just pull up some Charizard list here. This one's probably playing Munkidori. Yeah. So Charizard here with Munkidori. It has two Munkidoris, three Luminous Energies, and long story short, I think it is not good in Charizard. Yes, the same stuff I said about Dragapult outside of the spread damage thing is true, where you will be like potentially tanking hits. Also, you do accelerate energy to yourself, so you can get Luminous attached, like with Marnie's. But how much value are you getting off of it? You might get some, but I'd rather see like a Duststorm line. You could put a 101 line. Also, that it's the Luminous, right? You could add a bunch more Duststorm pieces, a bunch of Duststorm pieces, and that would be like useful in the deck, adding damage, and giving you more control. Munkidori is ultimately a card where you don't really have control over things unless you're putting the damage counters on your own Pokemon. Your opponent has control over Munkidori, kind of. Duststorm isn't like that. Obviously people are playing this little Pokemon here, so that's not always super useful. But ultimately, oh wait, Psyduck turns off your own Dustones. I didn't realize that. Don't know if that's useful for anything. But anyways, Luminous is not a card you normally be running. It doesn't, yeah, it actually doesn't do anything outside of working with Munkidori. I mean, it works as a fire, but it's pretty mediocre there. Um, and then also you can't search that with Charizard EX. So yeah, there's legitimate downsides to playing the Luminous energies here over Fire energies, and the Munkidori value is pretty mediocre. This is the first deck where I think people are putting Munkidori into it because they just are. Again, it's not completely useless, but it's 5 deck spaces. It's hurting other things potentially a little bit here, and you could definitely get other value from, the yeah, the deck space, right? So is it meaningful? I mean, it could add value. It could help you in some situations. I'm not saying that it can't, but it's not always going to help you there. And Charles is a pretty straightforward deck. It has room to potentially include it, but it's not, amazing there either. Then we have the next deck I actually want to talk about here. Where is this deck? It is our Caludon. Um, Let me see. Wait, is my computer muted? Is it gonna beep if I if it's not here? Okay. Um, so our Caludon, oh, it's 33. I guess I just skipped over it. Let's see, what's in this deck? Yeah, okay. So this is our Caludon EX here, playing Risk of Ruins to get damage counters on your and your opponent's Pokemon, and then you can Munkidori damage counters away over. This allows you to get some extra damage on your board and your opponent's board, allowing you to take bigger knockouts with our Caludon EX. I haven't really seen too much Archaludon, so I don't know how useful this actually is. But it is clunky, right? Getting the Darkness energies on Munkidori isn't super easy. Archaludon EX may be thinking, oh yeah, it powers itself up just like Marnie's or Charizard. But it doesn't. It doesn't actually do that. It powers itself up as it accelerates two, and then you need the third one to attach. So you don't really have these lots of extra attachments. You might have one though, and that could be enough here. Um, and you could get value out of it. I mean, it's not useless, but it's not super good, and it's clunky. I mean, it's literally risky. Viscoons might damage you more than you want. I don't know. You have like control over it, but it just doesn't seem good. I'm not gonna lie. Like you don't have all these extra attachments. You're not looking to use Munkidori all the time. It has some value. Again, you can tank, you can get no more damage. It's cool, but if you're tanking, things are working anyways. You can Turos, you can Duraludon with Relicanth. You can do all these things if you're tanking. So at that point, you don't need Munkidori because you don't need much else. You're gonna win probably, hopefully. You want some cards to make sure you don't run out of steam, like say research, right? That's going to help you in the late game or boss or whatever you're looking for there. You could certainly add more counts of those cards, but you're not. You're playing these Mokidoris and they're just not super good. Then there are other decks that do similar things here. Munkidori, like in something like Ends, it's okay because you're running Darkness and you can power yourself up. Also, it does have value with Crustal. Crustal and the wall-based stacks, Munkidori is actually pretty cool in because it is healing and extra damage, and it allows you to do that while you are also very much intending to slow the game down. And slowing the game down isn't a way in which I guess it is a way in which you win, but it's really the starting point in which you're like actually playing the game. Even if you slowed things down, you haven't won. You need to slow things down a lot and capitalize on the time you've gained. Unlike a deck where, like, say, if you're playing Dragapult and your opponent's like struggling to take knockouts, you're in a really good position. If your opponent's struggling to take knockouts against Crustal, that's like again the starting point. But regardless, pairing it with Ends though is like kind of mediocre because Ends Restroom actually wants damage counters on your board, so and you're not like super tanky either, and you don't have lots of extra attachments either. So it could work. I'm not saying it can't ever work, but it's pretty meh in Ends. And again, you see two Munkidori's here. It's not a part of the deck just being like tossed in. It is a two of here. You are playing Darkness already, so it's not like it's useless or anything like that, but it's not crazy here. And then also, let's see, any other decks? There are definitely some other ones playing it. I will say like Pidgeot control here is really interesting. Oh no, never mind. Pidgeot control is actually pretty interesting. Some are playing the Shuckle, which I mentioned earlier, because as I said, it can counter Munkidori. Decks with energy acceleration, meet those conditions where you get damage counters on your board. You get payoff from those damage counters. You have the room to play it. It's not like a big sacrifice. It does have value, but people are putting into a lot of decks, so it's kind of mediocre. And it's not like absurdly broken in Gardevoir or Mardu's. It's a good card. It's definitely a good card. It's an important piece in those decks, but it's not like broken. It's like good. It's good. There are lots of good cards in a lot of decks. You look at Ledge and you're like, oh, Lunatone, that's a good card. Ledge is a good card. Pheasant Beast are really good cards. Squawkle is quite a good card as well. These trainers, every card in this deck is a good card outside of, I guess, Shark Cadet. And I'd say Solrock isn't like super good. It's okay. They're not all equally good, but they are all pretty good. I'd say every single card in this deck, outside those like handful of cards, are on a similar power level to Munkidori. They certainly very much easily could be argued to be better than it. Um, so it's all right, it's a decent card. Munkidori is okay, but compared to where some people think it is, where a lot of people apparently think it is, as like a top 10 card in the game, it's not. It's like definitely not a top 10 card in the game. It's probably I guess let's throw top 100. I don't actually know where top 100 is. I'm gonna be completely honest. Like I don't know how good the 100th best card in the game is. I think that's like a pretty fair position for it to be. I'd be surprised if it's not in there. It's a good card with some legitimate value, but it's not amazing. But tell me down below in the comment section what your thoughts are. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't like Munkidori. There are lots of cards I'm just not a huge fan of. Oh, actually no, I do like Munkidori. That's a lie. I like it. I think it's a fun card. Moving the average cards around, super fun. But ultimately, Munkidori as a card, I think it's overrated. But there are reasons to play it as well. But I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment your thoughts, hit the bell, join the channel, all that good stuff. And as Osmond said, see you in the next video.